In this video, we are going to go over how to find the perimeter and area of triangles. Let's start with the perimeter. In a previous video, we talked about perimeter of squares and rectangles. Perimeter is still the same thing. It is the measure of the distance around a two-dimensional shape. With squares and rectangles, we had 4 sides that we had to add their length together. With a triangle, there is only 3 sides, but perimeter remains the same, the measure of those 3 sides. So perimeter of this triangle here would be the length of side A plus the length of side B plus the length of side C, all added together. Let's look at an example. Here your directions say find the perimeter of each, and you have to show all work to receive credit. So again, perimeter is going to be add up all the sides. So we have 7 centimeters plus 11 centimeters plus another 11 centimeters. So if we add those 3 numbers together, 7 plus 11 plus 11, we end up at 29 centimeters for our answer. Let's look at another example. Here, again, we have to show all work, so perimeter, P, is equal to add all 3 sides of this triangle together. We have 7 inches plus 8 inches plus 9 inches. When you add those 3 numbers up, you get 24 inches. So our perimeter is 24 inches. In this particular problem, that 6 inches is just an extra piece of information that is not needed for what we are asked to find. We were only asked to find the perimeter, so we only needed the 7, the 8, and the 9. If we were asked to find area, like you will be later on in this video, that height of 6 inches would come into play. But when we were asked for perimeter, we only needed the measure of the outside, so that's 7, 8, and 9. Let's look at another example. Again, there in red, we have an extra piece of information we don't need for finding the perimeter, so we can ignore it. But showing our work, perimeter is equal to add the 3 sides together. We have 9 feet plus 4 feet plus 8 feet. And when we add that all together, we get 21 feet. Let's look at one last example for perimeter. So again, P is equal to add all 3 sides of the triangle together. We don't need that 7.7 inches there in red. That's an extra piece of information when all we were asked to find was perimeter. So we have 9 inches plus 8 inches plus 7 inches. When we add that together, we get 24 inches. Let's move on to finding area. Area of triangles, our formula is 1/2 times the base times the height. So in this diagram here, we have our dotted line that represents the height h, and we have our base there with a b. We multiply them together and divide by 2. Let's look at an example. So we need to show all our work. So area is 1/2 times the base times the height. My base I'm going to show in blue, and that is this guy. My height is already in red, so I'm going to leave it in red. So showing my work, we have A equals 1/2 times my base of 10 miles times my height of 6.2 miles. Now we just have to use a calculator and multiply these out. When we multiply them out, we get, let me switch back to black here. When we multiply them out, we get 31 miles squared. Again, it's an area, so our unit of measure is always going to be squared. Let's look at another example. Again, showing all our work, so area is equal to 1/2 times the base times the height. We have the two pieces of information we need in this diagram, so we can plug in 1/2 times my base, 8 inches, times my height of 4.6 inches. Now we just multiply it out. Once we multiply the 1/2, the 8, and the 4.6, we end up at 18.4 inches squared. Let's look at another example. Again, we have to show all our work, so area is equal to 1/2 times the base times the height. So 1/2 times my base of 5 yards times my height of 4.8 yards. Again, now it's just calculator. Plug in and multiply. Once you multiply, you end up at 12 yards squared. So the area of this triangle is 12 yards squared. Let's look at one final example of area of triangles. So area is equal to 1/2 base times height. So 1/2 times my base of 7 meters times my height of 4.6 meters. Now it's just calculator. Plug in and multiply. Once you multiply them, you end up at 16.1 meters squared. And that is the area of this triangle. Hopefully this video helped explain how to find perimeter and area of triangles.